Hello, listeners, however you may be listening. Welcome to episode 0, pilot episode of podcast to be named later. My name is Grant Nuts, however they may refer to me, and then we also have Sauce, who's Andrew.
How's it going, everybody? Sauce here. Pleasure to be here. Can't wait to get started on this. Can't wait to see where this could take us. Let's have fun with this pilot and figure out a name eventually.
And we also have Taggart or Beans, whichever is
Yes, I am
preferred.
Tired Angel. You can find me on social media at
Already
T-Dog
plugging
Ramos.
himself. Already plugging himself.
at Tired Angel on Instagram. I'm excited to do the podcast, so let's get into it.
I hope you blow up on social media.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you clarified that.
This is a great start. I love it. All right.
We're leading off last
Hop into it.
night. Last night.
There's a lot that's been said about this. I mean,
Let's start with the game itself.
okay.
I think my word for the game is disgusting. I wouldn't say that either team was good. Mason Rudolph threw 4 interceptions. It just was overall not a good day.
I mean, yeah, it's the Steelers and the Browns on a Thursday night football game. It's a typical Thursday night football game that you're going to get. I actually thought that the Browns played fairly well. Baker had 3 touchdowns, which has,
Rare
above expectations for him.
Rare this year.
Nick Chubb got a very high carry count at 27 carries for 92 yards.
At 92. Did you know that
It
he's the
is
first? He's the first running back this year to break 1,000.
I did not. He's a good back.
He is. Not a great fantasy day. Only 9 points in either PPR or standard. Only 92 yards, no catches. Jarvis Landry.
That's pretty much what you're going to get out of Nick Chubb.
I mean, you can go one of 2 ways with Nick Chubb. He's either going to do that or he's going to do a lot.
He's not really a cat.
Yeah.
Well, he's not.
Pass-catching
I'm not saying
back.
he's a pass catching back, but if you look at like his pop off games, he can easy go for 200 if he has a breakout run, which is very possible with him.
One player I did want to talk about is Jarvis Landry, who is seeming to break out into their wide receiver 1 this year.
Yeah.
He's playing very well. He had 4 catches, 43 yards, which isn't a great day, but he added a touchdown to it, which definitely helps.
Wide open touchdown.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's about time that somebody says it. Did Eli make Odell Beckham look like a good receiver?
I would not go that far.
I'm not saying that Eli was bad. Yeah, I am. Eli's bad. But Odell is seeing just so much focus on the defensive scheme side of the ball that it's giving Jarvis Landry this opportunity. Like you saw what Jarvis Landry did last year. Very average wide receiver. He was their wide receiver 1 last year, but he didn't have nearly the attention that the defense is giving Odell, simply out of respect. I mean, you can't deny that Odell is still Odell, with or without. I mean, he was half a yard short from having a touchdown in what was probably a good game for him. Probably his best game of the year.
I believe the
Go ahead.
Steelers are 12th in points given up to wide receivers, so it's not like they're a bad defense.
No, their defense has...
No, their defense is very good. They've got a young defense, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's had 5 picks in like 5 games with them since being traded from the Dolphins. So
And then
it's not like they were seeing light. On top of Baker, I mean, I'll give them their pass rush is pretty good with Bush, TJ Watt. I don't think Baker got sacked yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I do not believe he was sacked. It also helps when you can get 92 yards out of your running back, make them fear the run a little bit more, give you a
They
little bit of
had
time.
1 sack, TJ Watt.
1 sec. Well, it was not a
But
loud
only 3
game.
quarterback hits. They really didn't rush Baker. He
He had a
looked very
lot of
comfortable in
time.
the pocket.
A lot of time. And I mean, you saw it in the first couple of weeks with the Browns season that if you got pressure on Baker, I mean, if you just look back at his first couple of games, he was running around like a madman and was awful. They said a stat earlier in the year that he was like one of something when he had to leave the pocket. And I mean, that just is who he is. Like, that's who he was in college. He was a pocket passer because he's accurate. He's accurate when he gets time to stand in there.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the game as a whole, yeah, obviously it was. I mean, it was a good win for the Browns. I think they said that this was their first time beating the Steelers since like 2014 or 2015, something like that. So obviously a good win. But when you look at Mason Rudolph throwing 4 interceptions, you have to score more than 21 points.
Yeah, it's a lot of turnovers to not turn into
Yeah,
points.
he had a QBR of 10.8. Just want to point that out. That's not good for
No.
those of you who don't watch football.
Yeah, no,
And it's, I
pitiful.
mean, it was overshadowed due to like the end of the game, so no one's actually talking about the game.
Yeah.
But as quote unquote good as the Browns win may look on paper, it was not as
It was almost
good of
like
a
they
win
lost.
as they should have. Like with 4 turnovers, they had 14 points, and the only other touchdown that they got off one of his turnovers was an interception that was brought back to the 3, and they were finally able to score. I think they
Oh,
missed.
was that the only touchdown they scored off a turnover?
I'm not sure about the second one.
The
They
second
scored on
one
their
was
opening
off
drive.
opening drive. They scored off a punt, and then
The
they
turnover.
scored. Yeah. Then their last touchdown was off that interception where they had to run 3 plays and get 4 yards. So, I mean, good win. It gets them back. I mean, it gives them a
Hope
sliver of hope to get to
a
the
little.
playoffs. But with Myles Garrett being out the rest of the year, I mean,
You also,
he was undoubtedly their best defensive player.
yeah, I mean, you also can't take away the fact that they're in the Ravens division, which looks like it's their division to lose, and I am not too sure on their chances of winning the AFC wildcard.
Yeah. All right. So
Transitioning into the other side of the ball, can we talk about James Conner for a second? He
Go ahead.
was just
No,
there,
it's-
and then he's not there.
Let's give it to Sauce. Go ahead, Sauce. Let it out.
Yeah, I mean this one hurts. I started both freaking James Conner and Juju, and both of them go out by. James Conner had like 2 drives.
Yeah.
And
then
Deontay Johnson.
And then, well, yeah, Juju gets knocked out in the second quarter with a concussion. I mean, the James Conner one is just that's kind of a scary injury because they didn't even have him listed as hurt going into the game, and then he goes 2 drives, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he's questionable to return. So
I would put it both on him and their medical staff because
yeah,
one, I mean, I've never had an AC joint issue, so I have no idea what it feels like when it's healthy versus hurt. But you're a running back, and you have to assume that your shoulder is going to take shots multiple
And for
times in this
fantasy
game.
listeners, are we worried about James Conner moving forward?
I'm worried about James Conner.
Is he a tradable asset? Obviously, he's a trade
I mean,
low.
yes, he's a tradable asset, but I mean, at this point, how much is someone going to pay for? He has not proven
Yeah.
anything outside of okay, if you want to put last year in the mix, but last year was you
they
see
had
a
Ben
number.
Roethlisberger as their quarterback, not Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risk. If you're going to trade for James Conner, it's a risk because you saw what he played like with Ben last year, so they're more than likely I'm going to assume that Ben is going to be their starter next year. I don't see them ditching Ben and trying to develop Mason Rudolph into anything. I don't know.
Yeah,
He
but
had Antonio Brown. Like Juju's now seeing that short end of that stick, not having him there.
yeah, I
Um,
mean James Conner. I mean he was having like a really good year up until the injury. I mean it's not like he was playing bad, but I mean if you're in like we are a dynasty league, yeah, James Conner might be somebody to look into because the person might be selling him low. But if you're in just a 1 year redraft league, I think at this point, trying to trade for James Conner, I don't know how much that will end up helping you because who knows if this is going to make him out for 2, 3 weeks. If it's just this week, I mean, you don't really know right now.
yeah, with the injury reoccurring, having the same injury that is what had him sidelined for the past 2 weeks before that, they may be more precautious
Yeah.
on
All right.
this go around.
I think that's enough talk for that game. I mean, we could go
We're
into.
not going to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I,
I
I
mean, we could
let's
go.
address the elephant in the room. A man got smacked in the head by his own helmet last night at the end of the game. For those of you who didn't watch the game,
Or have
just
social media, or just haven't
go
opened
look
your
up
eyes
the
today.
clip. Just look up Miles Garrett. That's all you got to do. And you're going to see a man rip off another man's helmet and swing and connect with the man whose helmet it was, his head. So he's been currently, as of right now, he's been suspended for the year. He's appealing his suspension.
I don't think that'll go well for him,
I
but
don't picture this being changed. I think if he gets this year alone, is going to be on the lighter end of stuff. I could definitely see it bleeding into next year. I mean, from the NFL's perspective, they have to make this like no, this hasn't happened, so they don't
It's a
have.
priority to protect your quarterbacks.
Well, it's not even that. Like if you would have hit a running back in the head, like you have to make it known that. I mean, Mason Rudolph could literally bring this to the Cleveland police and file for assault because
yeah,
it is stated in the NFL's bylaws or whatever they want to call their rules in section something that if a player does something unlawful on the field with a non-football quote unquote activity or move that it is not under technically the NFL's jurisdiction. So Mason Rudolph has that right if he chooses to do so.
yeah. I mean, I don't think he will. Obviously, for both Mason Rudolph and Miles Garrett, um, it's obviously a good thing that it was no more than it like really what it was, because it could have been a lot worse for Mason Rudolph. So
Yeah,
for him to
he
like
could
be
be
okay
dead.
after, for him to
Yeah,
be
we're
like
lucky
okay,
that it wasn't the crown of the helmet.
Yeah.
yeah,
Otherwise, it's probably a different story.
yeah. I mean, it was bad, and I think for the offensive lineman that went after him after that, I mean that's self-defense. He's trying to
He had to
protect his
be suspended.
quarterback. Yeah, you knew he
there's
had to be
there's there's
suspended.
precedent on it. Like they have
Yeah,
past suspensions where somebody punches or kicks somebody, and they had to. And I think he knew
yeah.
that going into that. Like, I mean, I don't think he would change what he did.
No. I mean, you see everybody on all like professional athletes that were like tweeting about it or whatnot. They all came to his defense. They're like, that's his quarterback. He's going to protect him. Like they didn't see anything wrong with like his actions.
Yeah,
But again, he did have to be suspended. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it
he
is what it is.
he also is appealing his suspension.
I
Both
mean,
Miles Garrett and Marquise Pouncey are both appealing their
no.
suspension.
I don't think anything's going to change, but
I doubt it. I could see Pouncey's maybe getting reduced one game to two,
yeah.
but I
But
don't see
outside that,
Miles Garrett's. I think they're going to end up reviewing Miles Garrett's again once things, because like it's been a day. I wasn't expecting to see suspensions until maybe like Sunday or Monday, but I guess it was kind of in the NFL's face, and they had to say something.
yeah, they had to get out in front of it.
All right, two more points just on this game. One, what are your thoughts on what Baker said after the game?
About Miles Garrett,
Yes.
I mean, I thought it was like in that situation, that was about as good as you could have handled it. He said all the right things.
And a lot of people on Twitter were thinking why isn't your quarterback backing up? His other
his
players.
teammate.
It's
But this is something that the NFL's never seen before.
Yeah, it's different. It's not like they got into a scrum.
So
Like,
I think he was
legally-
in the right to
Yeah.
kind of let his teammate know where he stands.
I also don't know if I haven't seen a Myles Garrett interview, but I don't even know if they like questioned what
I think
Baker
he
said.
talked after. Oh
But
no, I
like
don't think they asked him about that.
if they asked him about what Baker said about him, I don't think he would deny anything he said.
No.
Like, I don't think after the fact, like, you get to look back on what you did. I don't think any man coming off a football field in their right mind is going to deny that A, it was wrong and he's hurting himself and the team.
No. What was your other point? Last point?
The last point on the game is a lot on Twitter, specifically coming out of Cleveland, but it's trending. There's like 27,000 tweets on this topic of the hashtag Rudolph started it. It has begun. Max Kellerman went on ESPN today and said that this would have never happened if Mason Rudolph did not instigate this fight. He believes, one, do you believe Mason Rudolph should get a suspension? And two, do you believe that, quote unquote, he started? Obviously, he got the short end of that. Like, he got hit in the head. So, like, but if you go back and watch, he originally tries to rip off Myles Garrett's helmet when Myles Garrett lands on him after a completely pointless late hit after the throw had already been thrown. It had been like 3 seconds and there's 8 seconds left in the game. Like, it was unnecessary. Mason Rudolph gets upset. He goes to take off Myles Garrett's helmet. Can't. Myles Garrett gets a hold of his face mask and the rest is history from there. But do you think that for what he did, like, he both tried to rip a man's helmet off and then charged him once he had the helmet, do you believe that Mason Rudolph should have a suspension for what he did?
Well, I'll let you take it, Taggart.
Yes, I do believe that Mason Rudolph instigated it, and I think his suspension's due for him. I don't know how many games they would really give him.
What do you think? 1, 2?
Yeah, maybe 2. I would say 2-game suspension because we did see at the end of Garrett's tackle, which was obviously
Not
a little
just
aggressive.
it was not a clean tackle. It was a clean
he tried
tackle,
to take
but
his helmet
it
off
was extra.
From the bottom of he grabbed the bottom of his helmet, and you just can't do that as a quarterback. You have to stay composed. Neither player were in the right there.
No, I mean, and if you look at it from, if Mason Rudolph's a bigger man, that this could be going the complete opposite way. Like, if he was able to get his helmet off, Mason Rudolph has lost his cool and hit him over the side of the head. Like, they both had the same intent of ripping the other person's helmet off. What I'm assuming is to get a clean shot at their face. I mean, that's just a guess at, I don't know why someone tries to take someone else's helmet off outside of trying to expose their face to possibly get a punch in or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much more to say on it. I mean, at most, I think he should get maybe 1 game. I saw that he's going to get fined.
Both teams got fined $250K.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think he'll end up getting a suspension just because he ended up getting the short end of that stick, but whatever.
Fair points. Moving on. Saturday.
Now that we've talked about that
now,
game
Thursday night football was a 20-minute conversation. We're fine. It's okay. Moving on to the Saturday game slate of college football. Got a bunch of pretty good top 25 matchups. Either one of you got that list pulled up and we can go game by game, both on who we think's gonna win.
Are you wanting to go one up or just based on the 11 a.m. games?
Just started 11.
Just started.
Yeah,
11.
so we have Alabama at Mississippi State. Obviously, I feel like this one is pretty straightforward.
Let's say the game and the line, so we can discuss both who's going to win, and then like possibly for those of the people that might have an interest in sports gambling if
Sure.
there's any possibility that a team may cover either
The
side.
Crimson Tide are 18.5 point favorites. Over under 60.5.
I'm just gonna go ahead.
Alabama's 8-1.
If this ends up being a video podcast, Sauce and I both go to the University of Alabama. So I would say that I would say all three of us are going to say Alabama's going to win.
We would hope that all three of us would say Alabama's going to win.
18 and a half.
I don't know about the 18.5, but
what was the
obviously
over-under?
I would 60.5.
I'm going to go under on the over-under because I don't think we allow them to score much.
Did you see Alabama's defense last week?
We played the best team in the country.
I think if you're gonna look for any bets here, you'd look at Alabama's first half line.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what it is right now. My guess would be 9.
Yeah, 9 to 10, somewhere in there.
I think it's probably going to be put at, I would say 10.5, because obviously they want that half.
Which I think is a pretty safe bet.
I would say that's probably your best one. I'm more inclined to lean towards giving Alabama the 18.5 just because they're coming off that loss. Might have a little bit of a fire, might want to start proving themselves because now they've been put out of the top 4, so they might have a little chip on their shoulder. If I had to bet the line, I'd probably say 18.5. Give it to them.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is they haven't announced if Tua's playing or not. He still remains a game time decision, so that could obviously impact it, even though we did see Alabama with their backup, given it was Arkansas, they put up 41 points and a half.
So check your betting sites at 10:45, and make your decisions then.
Next,
moving on, Penn State at home against the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana Hoosiers are 7-2. Penn State's 8-1. Penn State has the spread, or Vegas has the spread for Penn State at minus 14.5.
Give me both. Penn State obviously is going to win off that loss. Still playing for some hope of playing in the Big Ten championship. I mean, It's a no-brainer. They have to win from here out in order to even have a chance. I don't think that they're going to take it easy. Indiana 7-2, not bad, but I don't think
a quiet 7-2.
I think it's going to be too much.
I don't
Sean
think it's
Clifford this
enough.
game.
Yep.
Too much KJ Hamler. It's going to be Penn State.
Yep, I think they come out easy 20
and
plus.
Penn State, I mean, they're coming off that loss, so I think they're kind of in the same boat as Alabama. They got knocked down a bunch of spots. They want to try and prove that they still one of the best teams. So I think they're going to come out on fire.
They have to.
I think they will cover that 15.
All right, moving on to our next game. Florida Gators 8-2, Mizzou Tigers 5-4. Vegas has this line at -7 for the Gators.
Put everything you have on Florida.
Over under at 52. This is a home game for the Missouri Tigers, so maybe something to consider.
I think the big question looming is if Mr. Quarterback's going to play.
Oh, Kelly Bryant?
Kelly Bryant, that's his name. Sorry. Yeah, if Kelly Bryant.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly Bryant's obviously a big impact to this game.
Yeah.
That over-under is enticing.
He is expected to play, and that was 2 weeks ago. So obviously, given the -7 line,
I would say
that Vegas is taking into account that he will be playing.
I think Florida handles business.
Yeah, I think they will too.
Give them the 7.
Yeah.
I mean, what's their SEC record? Are they still on a run for possibly playing?
They're 5-2. They lost to Georgia, so I mean,
I don't think are they
Georgia
even in
has
the East?
to lose. Yeah, they can't win the East, but I mean, they're still at this point still playing for a New Year's Six bowl. So
yeah, the Tigers are without a defense. I think Florida runs through them pretty easily.
I would say so as well.
Agree.
Wisconsin at Nebraska.
Oh yes, a
Wisconsin,
barn burner.
your Badgers are favored by 14.5. What do we think of that game?
Where is it?
It's at Nebraska.
At Nebraska.
I think it's kind of. I mean, I'm kind of backtracking to the last game. That Florida has a good defense, and that over/under's at 52. But this game over/under at 51. I don't see either of these teams scoring more than like 20 points.
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna say if there's something to bet on here, I would say it's the over under. I don't know. I mean, we've seen Wisconsin be favored by multiple touchdowns, and it just comes down to they don't score multiple touchdowns. So it's hard to take a team. It's Nebraska. I get it. It's the Scott Frost project. They're working on it, but I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say that them winning by 14 is
A guarantee by
a
any
guarantee.
stretch.
I don't think Nebraska puts up many points. I don't know if Wisconsin puts up many points. I would say the under is the safest.
All right. I don't have very much to say about that game.
What are the
Michigan,
Hey, I have a question. What are the chances you
Yep.
sleep through that game?
11 o'clock? Chance is pretty high.
Or just not even turn it on. Like, are you gonna even tune into
No,
that?
I'm not gonna tune into that game.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Not really interested. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that game. I'm not watching a Nebraska game.
Next.
Yeah. Michigan State go on the road against the Michigan Wolverines. Wolverines are 7-2. Michigan State's 4-5. Yeah. Wolverines are 13.5-point favorites. Over under is 44.5, which is extremely low.
I'm kind of shocked that this over/under would be lower than the other game.
Vegas always knows something that we don't. So
I'm sure there's some underlying factor that's playing into that. Where'd you say the game was?
It's
at Michigan State.
31 degrees tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Obviously, 13.5-point favorites puts Michigan somewhere around 30 points, 31 points.
Which is their average on the season.
I don't think. I think Michigan State keeps that close.
Yeah. Wait, did you say they will keep it close?
They keep it respectable. I think it definitely will hit the over. I give Shea Patterson. I think it's very close to that line. If it doesn't hit that line, it's going to be somewhere around 2 touchdowns. Shea Patterson plays okay. Michigan handles what they have to do. I mean, they've got to have the game from a couple of years ago in their back of the mind where they just lose on a punt. So,
and I mean, Michigan's averaging almost 400 yards a game. So it's not like they're really developing in the pass game. They're only 220 passing yards per game, but I would look at Michigan's running back Zach Charbonnet in this game. He's going to have a big breakout week.
Would not be shocked. I would take Michigan minus the 13.5. I think this could be one of those Michigan games where they come out and they look really, really good, and a lot of people end up saying, oh, you know what, they're actually a lot better than expected. So that's kind of where I see this going.
Moving on to the big game of the week, we have the Kansas Jayhawks go on the road against Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Look, I'm not going to say anything more.
Oklahoma State's minus 17.5.
I'm not going to say anything more. Les Miles is back. Les Miles is bringing this program back from nothing. And I think Kansas definitely keeps it within that 17. Oklahoma State has a very explosive offense. I think it's going to be a rather high-scoring game, but I don't think they cover. I do think Oklahoma State ends up winning, but not by much.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas' senior quarterback, Carter Stanley, has been playing lights out. Puka Williams, another great target for him.
It's going to be a running back battle. Puka Williams and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah. A little worried about Hubbard.
Hubbard he's unreal, and I feel like he just doesn't ever get talked about.
Yeah, Oklahoma State's averaging 270 rushing yards per game,
That is ridiculous.
which is kind of absurd. Yeah, it's gonna be a shootout. The over/under is 69. So, if you guys want to tune into that one,
I think, that over/under is going to come down to if Kansas can keep up. Oklahoma State's going to score their points. They're going to run the ball. It's just a matter of if Kansas has one of those days where they look terrible, or if they have one of those days where they look good. You never really know.
all right. Next, we have 23rd in the country Navy versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame 7-2, Navy's 7-1. Notre Dame at home with the 7-point favorites. How are we feeling about this game?
I don't think many points will be scored.
Yep, I'm on the
Over/under is
agreeance.
55.
Yeah,
I would say under, but I do
say
think
under that.
I think Notre Dame covers and wins, but under.
Yeah, just because
It's Notre Dame. You got to give them some kind of credit. They've had some bad losses to some good teams, so.
Yeah, Navy. They've been averaging 40 points on the year, but they're playing Connecticut, Tulane, USF, Tulsa. Like
They are
not really
playing their best
anybody.
defense this upcoming
Yeah,
week, so.
and both defenses give up. Navy giving up 18, Notre Dame giving up 19 a game. So it's going to be a pretty defensive battle.
It's about to start getting cold up there. You're about to see a bunch of some good defense, I assume, is going to be played in that game.
Navy's Malcolm Perry has
there.
157 carries on the season with 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
Notre Dame gives up 155.
Hey, for those listening, that's their quarterback. That is not their running back.
He only has 5 passing touchdowns,
so
he's probably only what's he thrown the ball like 30 times this year?
Notre Dame
is going to make him alone be the sole purpose that they could possibly win that game. If they win, he has to play well, and
they play a contain on the quarterback and force him to throw.
It's over.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame runs away with that one.
Next.
Next, we have Ohio State and Rutgers.
Ohio State wins.
Ohio State is the favorites, just barely edging out at minus 52. Over/under is 61.
Oh my lord.
So they're saying that Rutgers is gonna score 10. Interesting. I'm not sure. I don't know what to do about the line.
I don't think.
If it was me, I'm staying away. I'm not swallowing 52 points.
I've never seen a line this big.
Yeah, that's an impressive line, but Ohio State's averaging 51.
I'm not saying
points per game, and
I am giving no discredit.
J.K. Dobbins is disgusting. Justin Fields,
no discredit to Ohio State.
Sophomore year.
That's just a lot of points, and they can win 49-0 and not cover. So I'm staying away from it.
Yeah,
they win. Obviously.
Can we talk about Justin Fields real quick? This kid is ridiculous.
Biggest mistake George ever made.
1,900 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 1 pick with a QBR of 93.1. He's third in the NCAA in terms of that stat. So, he's someone to look at.
He's good. Let's just go with that. He's good.
He's incredible.
And
but
he's probably going to put up another 5 or 6 touchdowns tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
Another.
I don't think we have to talk too much about this game.
Nope. Next.
It's going to be a pretty straightforward one.
Yep.
Wake Forest goes to Clemson.
Okay.
Clemson, yeah. Whatever the line is, take Clemson. 34.5.
Yeah.
I would say they're going to be covering 34.5 by halftime. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say on that game.
Next.
They're playing nobody ever.
Travis Etienne is going to run all over them.
200 yards plus. Easy. And another very mediocre game from Trevor Lawrence.
This next one I'm going to be talking about might be the game of the week.
Yeah.
We got the Georgia Bulldogs facing Auburn. Auburn's at home, 7-2. Georgia's 8-1. So this is a game to look at.
This is the game to look at.
Georgia is 3-point favorites in this game.
Over under.
Over under is
41
41.5.
They put that pretty well. I'm gonna go over.
You got some incredible quarterbacks in this game.
Hello, Bo Nix.
You got an incredible quarterback in this game.
I'm not
No,
gonna
I think
discredit
Bo Nix is
No,
is
Bo
great.
Nix is, he's done
He's
what
a
he's
freshman.
needed to do.
He's a freshman. He moves around a lot. He's gonna have to move around a lot tomorrow if they have any chance of beating them. I don't
Yeah.
see Georgia losing this game.
I don't either, and it's
They
gonna
s-
sound
They
gonna
smell
sound
blood.
weird. Go ahead. I'll
Go.
go when you're done.
Go. They smell blood, dude. They're top 4. They smell it. It's right there. All they have to do is take care of business.
Yeah, I agree. And it's gonna sound weird given I am an Alabama fan. I'm kind of rooting for Auburn to win tomorrow, to knock
Eh.
Georgia out.
Every Alabama
at
fan
2
is rooting for
losses.
Auburn tomorrow.
But I do think Georgia will end up winning this game. 3 points. I think they'll cover that, and I would probably take the over on it as well.
All right, Auburn is 7-2 against the spread. Georgia Bulldogs 5-4.
Just little something to look at.
Might be something to look at if you're in the betting scene. Memphis Tigers go to Houston. Tigers are 10.5-point favorites in this game, over under 70. So we're looking for a high scoring game.
Shootout.
And I think it's going to be a shootout. I mean, Memphis has looked really good this year. Brady White's kind of been leading the team. 2,500 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So Houston's going to have to be throwing the ball in order to keep up with Memphis' offense.
Yeah, I mean,
Good
the
game.
thing that, yeah, it should be a good game. 10.5. I think Memphis will cover that. Houston, I mean, they started out the year pretty well, but
Doesn't
ever
help when
since-
your quarterback leaves.
Well, he didn't even leave. Their
Well,
quarterback after 4
He quit.
games,
He just said, "I'm done this year."
he just said, "I'm gonna redshirt," and I mean, since then they haven't been nearly as explosive. But I think there's a potential for them to stay in this game, but I think Memphis will end up running away with it late. They'll cover that 10.5. 70 points is a lot of points. I'd probably say under on that.
Go buy yourself a ticket and go to the game. Enjoy.
$12.
It's like playing Madden.
All right, moving on. We have a very interesting Big 12 matchup with the Texas Longhorns going on the road to Iowa State. Iowa State's favored by 7 in this game.
Wow.
What do you guys think about that?
Texas is back.
To mediocrity.
I'm overhearing it. I have faith. Give me Iowa State.
Really?
I'm done with it. Until they win a national championship, I'm done. I don't want to hear anything about Sam Ehlinger. Nothing. That entire thing. It's just.
It's a lot of talk.
I'm going to go +7 for the Longhorns here.
Everyone expects Texas to win. They should win. They're the better team on paper.
Iowa State's obviously had some good upsets this year.
They lost to Oklahoma last week by 1.
Yeah.
They're at home. I'll give it to them.
They lost to
I'll give it
Baylor
to
by
'em.
2. Lost to Iowa by 1. They've had some close games, so I think it's going to be a lot closer than a 7-point spread. I think it's a game to look for.
Yeah.
Next,
Coming into the
how
late
many
fourth quarter.
how many more college games we got?
We're getting there. Some of these we
4?
won't have to talk about much.
All right, perfect. Let's spew this
4?
along.
There's more than 4.
All right, next.
5, 6.
Just
6.
run it.
We have West Virginia against Kansas State.
Kansas State.
State's at home, 13.5-point favorites. I feel like this one's pretty straightforward.
Kansas State.
Kansas
Next.
State by 13.5. West Virginia is not good. Oh, here you go. Here's another.
Minnesota at Iowa. Your Minnesota is interesting in this game. 3-point underdogs.
I'm rowing the
Yeah.
boat. I'm rowing the boat all day. I love to row the boat,
All,
and I'm here for the boat. They're gonna
all I'm
win
saying is it's a Big
easy.
Ten game. Look at that under 44.5.
I think they win
Iowa,
very easily. Nate
Iowa,
Stanley has not performed well.
yeah, Iowa doesn't score. They're a good defense. I would look more towards the under. I think it should be a good game. I don't know who's gonna win. I think it should be a good game.
17th ranked Cincinnati goes to USF. Cincinnati's 14-point favorites in this game.
Sure, I'll
USF is
take Cincinnati.
terrible. USF is so bad.
Haven't
Yeah,
heard
I'm gonna
anything
have to
on-
agree with you guys on that.
Haven't heard on anything on USF, so I'm gonna go with
Cincinnati
the
by
team that's
14.
proven something this year.
Here's a game to talk about: Oklahoma and Baylor. Oklahoma is traveling on the road, yet they are 10-point favorites. Baylor Bears are 9-0. Not entirely sure if they've played this year.
They played the Big 12.
I'm
They had
all
a good win against Oklahoma State.
I'm all in on
That's about
Baylor.
it.
I'm
I'm all in.
I'm all in on Oklahoma. Give it.
Oh,
I'm with Grant on this one. I think Jalen Hurts is gonna have a great
Jalen
game.
Hurts is still my boy deep down. I still root for him. He's still got it. He's good. Next.
boo.
Next we have
You skipped the
you.
well. You skipped one game that's kind of
I
irrelevant.
don't really. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one.
Okay.
UCLA and Utah.
Utah.
But you want to talk about this one?
We're just Utah.
Utah.
New Mexico, Boise State,
Boise
Boise
State.
State. New Mexico is terrible.
Arizona, Oregon.
Oregon by a lot, and a lot of points will be scored.
By the house.
27.5-point favorites. The over/under is 67.5. I
Over.
would say that you look at the over. Justin Herbert is
An NFL prospect.
Yeah.
And it's also another team that's right outside that top four. Definitely could be vying for a top four spot at the end of the year. They're gonna go. Well, they're at home. They're gonna. It won't be close. They're gonna blow them out.
That wraps up the
Was that college?
college football segment.
Make your bets. Lock them in. It's gonna be a fun day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Couple of good games on slate.
Couple.
I think it's time to talk about
Your guys' favorite sport.
the most exciting part of every weekend. The NFL.
Dun dun dun. Hey.
Yeah. Let's talk about your boys real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say we get to talk about your team first, Grant.
Cowboys
Noon.
go on the road against the Lions. The Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites in this game.
Easy claps. Give me the 6.5. We're playing the Lions at the Lions. They're without Matt Stafford. We're playing against Jeff Driscoll.
Matt
Yes.
Stafford 100% ruled out.
Ruled out of the game, not playing. We're playing against Jeff Driscoll.
Hey,
Gonna eat this
Don't-
man alive.
don't be mean to Jeff Driscoll, all right?
Dak's gonna have himself a day.
He might have lost to the Bears last week, but
It's just easy 6.5.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys can run away with this one. Detroit, they're
Have
not
nothing.
really a team without
Have nothing
Stafford.
going for him.
Detroit's also dead last in terms of points given up to the running back. So I think Zeke's going to eat this week.
It's a Zeke game. It's a redemption game after last week.
Yeah, it better be. Moving on, got the Jags going on the road to the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis is 3.5 favorites in this game.
Jacoby is back.
Oh, is he?
He is playing.
Oh, thank the Lord, because Brian Hoyer looked terrible last week. Absolutely garbage. And Nick Foles is back. Big news.
I think it's
I
gonna be.
don't imagine it's going to be a high-scoring game.
No, don't
Vegas
either.
has this line over/under at 43.5. I think Jacoby Brissett obviously helps Marlon Mack. What are we thinking about that?
I mean, I hope it'll
I think
help Marlon Mack.
I think T.Y. Hilton not playing helps Marlon Mack. I mean, they got to do something.
Do you like any fantasy pieces in this game?
If you're gonna play any fantasy piece on the
Well, obviously,
Indianapolis side of the ball, I would say it's going to be Marlon Mack. Maybe if
you
you're
have to
streaming Jacoby Brissett.
and then
What about
obviously,
Zach Pascal? T.Y. Hilton's out. Paris Campbell's out. Do we like Zach Pascal?
He is
I think
something
so.
to look at, but if you're going to look at somebody catching the ball, look at their tight ends. I could see both of their tight ends having a better day than their wide receivers.
Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron. Ebron's been kind of the squeaky wheel. He obviously got a lot of targets. I believe it was 13 last week. He only caught 5 balls, but
They were coming from Brian Hoyer. I watched that game.
yeah,
I saw some of the
it's
passes he
they're
was throwing.
Brian Hoyer targets. So as much as you can be targeted.
Gotta
They were
have some
skipping
kind of
3
credit.
yards in front of him. And then obviously other side of the ball, you're looking at Fournette, you're looking at DJ Chark. You're obviously starting Fournette and probably starting Chark as well.
Yeah, the Jags have Nick Foles back, and one matchup we might want to look at or link up. Sorry, is D.D. Westbrook, who was targeted by Nick Foles in the preseason, even first game, a lot. He was his go-to guy. So,
It's
are we
interesting.
thinking possible flex play?
Um,
Indiana's 10th against wide receivers this year, so they're in the top 12.
Yeah, I think it's hard to go off those preseason numbers. I mean, Nick Foles hasn't played in 12 weeks, 11 weeks, whatever it is. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. I think
Right.
if you have D.D. Westbrook,
Might be
I think you hold on to him, obviously, and then you see what
it's
he
a wait
does
and see
each
game.
week.
yes,
Yeah.
it is 100% a wait and see game.
Yeah.
I don't think you're trying to
And
jump any guns here.
now we get to talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, who
I
are
hope
on
to
a
all things.
2-game win streak.
I
Let it
hope-
be known.
I hope to all things holy that the Bills can win.
Bills have not looked good. They
And
haven't.
Yeah, the Bills are 6.5-point favorites in this game.
Key to this
Do we
game.
like any pieces from this game?
I do. I do like Devin Singletary in this game.
Josh Allen.
Out of any, yes, okay, he's also a viable play. I don't know if he's going to throw all
Yeah,
too much. I picture the
moves
Bills
around,
having a lead.
Are you worried
Fairly
about
early.
Singletary's attempts from last week against the Browns? He had 8 rushing attempts.
I'm not too terribly concerned because they are playing the Dolphins.
I think
They will look to give him opportunity,
Yeah.
and we've seen him take advantage of opportunities when he's been given them. The only thing that concerns me with him is the red zone, and when they're in the red zone, they either look to Josh Allen or Frank Gore, which are two clear, heavier, larger men than Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary's primed for a fine game. Somewhere in if you're in the PPR, somewhere in the 10 to 15, I think is what you can expect.
I think Singletary's a talent, but I'm still not sold on him. He missed 3 games, week 3 through 5. But if you look at his rushing attempts on the year, it's 4, 6, 7, 3, 20, and 8. So the
Just
outlier
very
that he had,
inconsistent.
he had a great game. They give him enough target share, he's gonna have a great game.
Yeah.
Wide receiver wise,
No.
you got John Brown, you got Devontae Parker.
No.
I don't think I'm starting anybody on the Dolphins.
No.
John Brown,
not against the Bills.
John Brown, I'd look at as a possible flex. I think he'll probably get his fair share of targets. Whether or not he capitalizes on that, the world will never know.
All right. And I believe, Sauce, your start of the week is Josh Allen at quarterback?
Yep, starting him this week. I mean, my supposed to be franchise guy at quarterback, Carson Wentz, is playing New England this week, so that's a definite sit.
We will
So
talk about that game
Yeah,
a
that's a
little
no.
later in the segment.
streaming Josh Allen. Hopefully, I've done it a few times this year. This year, it's worked out for me. So let's hope we get another good week out of him.
All right, Broncos and the Vikings. Broncos 3-6. Vikings are 7-3. Minnesota Vikings at home are 10-point favorites. Over under is 40 in this game.
Give me the freaking Broncos points here. Easy.
You think so?
Yes.
You think there's going to be a good amount of points scored in this game?
No, just give me the Broncos plus this 10.5 or whatever it was.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I think we're
Yeah.
about to see Kirk Cousins of old.
Who's playing quarterback for the Broncos?
I don't know.
Is it still that Allen dude?
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't think it matters. I think
Brandon Allen will be the starter.
Brandon Allen.
Their defense will play
Their defense has been good.
well enough to scare Kirk Cousins. They're going to have to rely on Dalvin Cook. It's going to be a closer game than this 10.5 that it's given, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Brandon Allen is not the greatest quarterback, but obviously he's got weapons. Philip Lindsay, who's just with what he's got, he's having a breakout season. And
Again.
Courtland Sutton has been incredible
He's
this
looked really
year.
good ever since they've traded away Sanders.
Yeah, he's a
Go-to guy.
consistent play, so I think he's someone to look at. On the other side of the ball, you have Dalvin Cook, who is going to have a monster week.
Yeah, I think you're starting him tomorrow if he's on your fantasy team.
Well, 2 days
Whatever day it is.
this weekend.
He's probably a start. He's pretty good at football. Would be my.
He will also become a 1,000-yard rusher this weekend. He's at 991. I'd imagine he will get at least 9 yards this weekend.
Yeah.
I would hope.
A lot of fantasy owners are worried about Kirk Cousins this week going against the number 3 defense in the league
Out of
in terms of
yes.
passing or
Out
giving
of-
up to quarterbacks.
Out of the entire Viking side of the ball, I would say the only person I'm thinking about starting is Dalvin Cook, just because he's an automatic. I'm not starting Kirk Cousins. I'm not starting, Stephon Diggs.
I'm starting Stephon Diggs.
You kind of have to. Like, if you have Stephon Diggs on your team, you have to start him because that's probably your only option. But if you have another option at a viable streaming option, it's something to consider.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't
yes,
think it's going to go too well.
Yeah.
And
yes,
Adam Thielen's not playing again.
Which
Like-
obviously you look at it 2 ways for Stephon Diggs. Either they will obviously key on him, but it could also give him the potential. I mean, you saw what he did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's going to get the looks.
If he gets open, it could be an awesome day. But again, who knows? Broncos have a great
he can get the
great
looks.
secondary. So
Could also look at Noah Fant. It's a bunch of interesting options on both sides of the ball receiving wise, given that I don't expect Cousins to play well and we don't really know what to expect out of Brandon Allen.
All right. 7-2 Saints go to the Buccaneers.
Points.
Don't know what to say about this one. The Bucks are 3-8. I think this is gonna be a high-scoring game, but ultimately, I think the Saints gonna roll with it.
Yeah, Saints aren't going to let what happened last week happen again. They're not dudding against a bad team. They just got shown up by the Falcons at home. I think Drew Brees comes out with a little edge. I think they're finally going to get Alvin Kamara some running touches, take him off that injury leash. Michael Thomas is clearly a freak of nature. But on the other side of the ball, I'm not even. I think Tampa also has some very
Don't count out Jameis.
Jameis is a good play. I
But
think
look
both
for
wide
him to have
receivers,
he'll have those 3 plays a game.
both wide receivers and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I think are fine plays.
Well, you're
One
not
of
sitting. If you have them, you're not sitting them.
no, one of them is
Yeah, they're
going to.
must starts.
If you have either of them, one of them is going to pop. So
That's
you
how
just
it's
have to
been
sit
going.
there and hope that it's yours.
Yeah, the Saints have two pretty crappy quarterbacks or cornerbacks, and Marshawn Lattimore has been ruled out of the game. So
He's not playing.
look for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to have fine weeks.
And then on the also on Tampa Bay's side of the ball, go ahead and if you streamed him last week, go ahead and put Ronald Jones on your bench.
He will be on my bench for this week.
Yeah, I was about to say
He
he's talking to you, Taggart.
he's
Yeah,
not
New Orleans is
not
third.
not going to be a
Fantasy
lot of
points
running
given up to the
going
running
on
back.
Tampa Bay's side of the ball tomorrow.
No,
On either side of the
obviously
ball.
they're going to be playing from behind. So
Yes, there's going to be
look
a lot
for
of.
look for Jameis to be throwing the ball.
Jameis is going to throw 50. And
All right.
he needs to if they're going to win or have a chance to win.
To the next game. Here's one we won't have to talk about for long. The
Beautiful.
New York Jets versus the Washington Redskins. Well, I guess we can start with Washington's -2.5. Over under is 38.5. I would look into that under. Neither team is going to score. Are you starting anybody from this game?
I think the Redskins are going to win this game. And Terry McLaurin, I think, is fine start.
Yeah,
I
I'd say
think
him.
the
And I think if you have Le'Veon Bell, you're starting him.
yeah, you will. Yes, you are starting Le'Veon Bell.
Maybe a Jamison Crowder flex play, but I wouldn't say there's going to be a whole lot of fantasy point production in this game.
Yeah, I think it's something to stay away from if you can.
Yeah,
I
then the
I think the
other
Jets
thing-
win.
other thing to look at in this game is obviously Darius Geis back from the IR.
Be interesting to
have
follow.
If you have him, obviously, I think this is a hold-off game for him. I
Sit
think
and
you kind of
watch.
wait and see. He is somebody that's on my team. I'm contemplating starting him because right now my other option is Marvin Jones, and given Jeff Driscoll is his quarterback, who knows? That'll probably be a little game time decision. But outside that, I'd probably betting wise, I'd probably just stay away from this game.
Yeah, I don't think Geis is a pick up and play here. Adrian Peterson's still going to get his work. Adrian Peterson might be a good flex this week. Has solid running percentage each week. I think it's 70% or 70% run share, so
Yeah.
might
You
be
just
someone to look for.
Yeah, you just never know with Darius Geis coming back if Darius Geis starts the game hot with a couple good rushes, they may go with him the whole game. So
I'm not starting either one.
Yep.
So,
No disagreeing, but if
you're in a larger league,
if
you
you're
look at
you stay away
Peterson.
from the game.
all right, another noon game. We got Falcons 2-7 coming off that big win against the Saints, going to Carolina at 5-4. Carolina's favored by 4.5. The over/under is 49.5.
Carolina is going to eat this game up.
I probably am going to side with you on that.
I don't
think
know
the Falcons.
what got
I
into
think
the
the
Falcons last week.
The Falcons got a lot of people in the world to believe in them again, and I think a lot of people will be betting on the Falcons again. But I think Carolina will take care of business, win by 4.5. Not sure about 49 total points.
Big game.
That has
For
the Falcons
those-
at what, 31, or the Panthers at 31 points. So obviously Vegas isn't buying the whole Falcons defense last week.
Yeah, I think it was a big fluke. Their
Yep.
defense isn't that good. So with that being said,
If you got any
Grant, you can
offensive
take
player,
the floor on this one.
if you have any offensive player from the Carolina Panthers, I would go ahead and throw him in your lineup. I would okay. Let's just Christian McCaffrey is starting. He's good. DJ Moore primed for a good game. Curtis Samuel primed for a good game. Greg Olson primed for a good game.
Greg Olson.
I don't think there's a quote unquote bad start coming out of this game
Yep.
on the Carolina
And then
side.
Falcons. Obviously Julio Jones, if you have him, you're starting him. I believe Calvin Ridley had a pretty good game last week, right?
He had an okay game.
Yeah, I'd probably
He's a considerable flex.
yeah. And
Obviously,
then
they have Austin Hooper out, so I think Calvin Ridley will
he'll get
Yep.
his targets.
get a higher target share.
Yeah, and then if they ruled Devontae Freeman out of this game,
They have.
Devontae Freeman is not playing.
so if you had Devontae Freeman, look for their backup, whose name I cannot remember. It's
Brian
something Hill.
Hill.
Brian Hill.
Brian Hill is, I think he will be a good start this week.
Yep, he is. Yep, he's the one. If you're gonna look at
Pick him up, put him in your lineup.
Yep, somebody to stream off the Atlanta side of the ball. Brian Hill's your guy. Outside of
Yeah,
that, nothing.
he had a great week last week. 20 attempts, 61 yards. Added a touchdown to that, so I think he will get plenty of carries. And
Yeah, they'll probably stick with that same game plan. Try and duplicate it. So
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
he's pretty much the only back in Atlanta right now, so
he'll get his
He'll
he'll
be-
get his touches.
Yes.
And then our last noon game could be potentially one of the best games on Sunday. The Texans at 6-3, traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens at 7-2. Baltimore is favored by 4.5. The over/under at 52. What are you guys thinking about this one?
I want pieces in this game. I think the over is going to hit in this game, and I think there's going to be a lot of fantasy production.
Yep.
Obviously, you have two of the best. You have the future at the quarterback
Yeah.
position on both teams.
Yep.
Sean Watson, incredible talent. I think he's probably the better thrower, but better weapon here, I think, is Lamar Jackson. And I think that Baltimore is going to roll.
Yep,
Think-
I agree. I think Baltimore's gonna win this game. I think it's close.
It'll be a shootout. There'll be lots of points scored.
Do you think anyone can defend Lamar Jackson, or is going to figure out how to defend Lamar Jackson?
I don't
Because
think
no one figured out Vic.
I don't know if anyone's gonna figure it out, but the key to stopping him is you're gonna have to have some fast linebackers. Like
Yep.
you look at the Cowboys, you got two athletic guys at linebacker. That's what it's going to take. You're gonna have two guys
gotta-
that are going to be able to
yeah.
chase him down and keep him from
and you
doing what
gotta
he
try-
does.
You got to try and keep him one-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean,
If he starts doing both, if he starts beating you with his arms and his legs, it's over. There's nothing you could do.
no, there's
I
a
mean,
better
even-
chance than not that you're not stopping him from doing what he does. The best case scenario for you is that you can contain him a little bit.
Lamar Jackson is averaging 72 yards on the ground per game.
That's ridiculous.
He's
Those
insane.
are like video game numbers.
He's insane.
He's someone to look forward to watching. Sean Watson on the other side of the ball will be airing it out. Obviously, he'll have to keep up with the fast-paced offense. Believe these are two of the fastest time of play teams in the league. So, yeah, I mean, Baltimore.
Points,
this isn't the
points,
Baltimore
points.
defense that we've seen in years past,
No.
giving up 270 yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. It's 21st in the league. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think you want everyone and anyone in this game.
I would agree with you on that one. All right, and then
Agree.
we got one game at 3:05, two at 3:25. 3:05 game, we got the Cardinals at 3-6-1 taking on the San Francisco 49ers at 8-1. This game's at San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 10, over under 45. And obviously from the 49ers side of the ball, they got a big loss again this week in George Kittle. And Matt Breida is listed as doubtful.
He'll be out.
There you go. So Tevin Coleman. Big Tevin Coleman game.
Give me the Cardinals to win this game.
I think Raheem Mostert's also a fine play here for fantasy listeners. He's someone who is going to get plenty of targets in terms of the passing game. He'll get enough runs to where I think it's going to be nice.
I would agree with you. You also got Emmanuel Sanders, who took that big shot last week with a rib injury, is listed as questionable. Obviously, we'll find out more once the game gets closer if he'll play or not.
And
That being
is he a play for you guys? Obviously, he was taken out of the game last week. Could happen again.
Yeah, it's with it being a rib injury and you're a run or a wide receiver that's running across the middle, running slant routes. I mean, there's a big potential where you take one more shot right in your ribs and he's out again. I think if you have to play him and he's playing, you're obviously putting him in your lineup. But if you have better options, I think you try and look elsewhere.
All right.
And back
Kyler Murray,
back to me on the record. Cardinals are
Sure.
winning this game.
I
Okay.
heard you. Don't worry, Mr. Hot Take.
Kyler Murray, Jimmy Garoppolo, either one that you like to start.
Not
Maybe
Jimmy
stream.
G. Not either of them.
I'm not
Grant has a
touching them.
vendetta out for the 49ers. I don't know what it is, but Grant just doesn't like them.
I think the 49ers are a legit team this year after what I saw against Seattle. I think they're
a fine
team to look for.
I think they're a fine team. I don't buy Jimmy G as a quarterback in fantasy. I don't think he's wow. He's not going to do anything special for you. I think they're missing a couple of key pieces on the offensive side of their ball. They obviously have a good defense. That's what everyone talks about. Can they contain Kyler Murray? Can you keep that offensive explosiveness contained enough to not allow them to score points? Is what it comes to. If the Cardinals score points, Jimmy G is not going to put up anything insane. I don't know if they've had, outside of the game, they scored like 52. They were playing Cincinnati. Is that who it was?
Didn't they put up like 48 on the Panthers?
Was that who that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
so.
regardless.
Would you like to retract your statement?
No. I still think that the Cardinals win this game. It's what, a 10.5 point line, if I read that correctly, I think?
It was 51-13, by the way.
Whatever. What was the line?
10.
10.
No shot, dude.
All right. There we go. There we have it. Does anybody else have this? Oh, here we go.
Bengals, Raiders.
Yeah.
Raiders, next.
Raiders are 11.5 point favorites.
It's the Bengals.
It's
The
just
Bengals
the Raiders.
are 29th in fantasy points given up to both the quarterback and wide receivers.
Anybody on the Raiders that you can get.
Yep.
I mean, there's only a couple that are actual valid options. If you have
Tyrell Williams, the big play this week, it looked like.
Tyrell Williams.
My start of the week is
Derek Carr. Yeah, you could even throw in Derek Carr. Darren
Josh
Waller,
Jacobs.
if you have him, and Josh Jacobs is one of my running back starts of the week, if not the start of the week from the running back position outside of the obvious ones. I would say he's borderline obvious, but
it's not gonna. This game won't be close. The Raiders.
No, it's not going to be any
They'll
competitive.
win by 11.5, but yeah. I'd also look at that under. The Bengals don't score points. I would look at that under 48.5.
No competition coming out of this game.
So yeah, that's enough on that. So then our last 325 game, we got the Patriots at 8-1, going to the Eagles of Philadelphia at 5-4. We got a little Super Bowl rematch of a couple years back.
Patriots are about to make Carson Wentz feel so much wrath. It's going to be an embarrassment of a game from the Eagles side of the ball.
Yeah, I don't really know if I want either team. I'm not really sure who I want in terms of starting my fantasy team.
If you have anybody on the Eagles, go ahead and put them on your bench. I don't even know who you have on the Eagles.
I'm not starting O.J. Howard.
Jordan Howard?
It's
O.J. Howard. I'm not starting him over Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz is the only person on the Eagles that you have to start him.
Alshon Jeffrey also listed questionable.
He's the only one you start.
Ruled out.
He has been ruled out. All right.
He's the only one you start. Zach Ertz.
Yeah. I probably have to say Zach Ertz.
Big news out of Philadelphia. It's really not that big of news. But they brought back Jay Ajayi. They re-signed him.
Woohoo.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
Don't pick him up either.
I'm just saying, Darren Sproles on the IR. They're just bringing back Jay Ajayi because why not?
Mohamed Sanu. What do we think about him?
Mohamed Sanu Sr.
It's a look. He's had a good game with the Patriots.
14 targets.
He has Tom Brady's trust.
He's their most explosive weapon.
He's probably one of the only people I'm looking out of the New England side of the ball.
I think you're starting Julian Edelman too.
You have
Julian
to.
Edelman's an obvious start.
But if
in
you're
terms
looking to somebody that you could possibly get on waivers, if you can get Mohamed Sanu, stream him instead of possibly somebody with a worse matchup. It's something to look at. I wouldn't start any of the New England running backs.
like a DJ Chark or Kenny Galladay.
I think that's it. I think nothing else out of that game interests me outside of the Patriots winning that game easily.
So then we got our Sunday night game. If you would have looked at this at the beginning of the season, you would have been like, "Oh, this will be a good game." But looking at it now, doesn't look great. We got the 4-5 Bears traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams at 5-4. Rams are favored by 6.5. The over/under is 40. I don't have much to say on this game.
I think this is a redemption week for Cooper Kupp.
Rams win, and they cover.
I think the Rams cover.
But yeah, I don't think it'll be close.
I don't want any other pieces in this game.
Yep, I want Cooper Kupp, and
that's about it.
That's about it.
I'm not taking
Robert Woods, possible flex play.
Robert Woods.
Obviously, Brandon Cooks is out.
Yep, Brandon Cook's still out.
If you have to, he's going to see targets. Him and Gerald Everett, it's kind of a toss-up. Which one of them?
A lot of people drafted Woods high this year. For him to be as low targeted as he is this year,
yeah,
I would say you can start him.
Yeah. And then Monday night.
Nothing on the Bears. Let's get that clear too. Nobody on the Bears.
Don't start a Bear.
No, not a single player.
And then wrapping it up Monday night, we got the Chiefs 6-4 against the Chargers of, I guess if LA wants to claim them, LA 4-6. Chiefs -4 over under 52. Patrick Mahomes. That's all.
Yeah, I can't believe this line is 4-point favorites for the Chiefs.
The stadium's gonna be filled with red.
It's in Mexico.
Oh, that is right. It is in Mexico.
I don't care where it is.
The Chiefs are going to win this game.
Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, maybe a McCole Hardman flex.
Possibly something to look at.
For a long touchdown possibility.
Personally, I look at the Charger side of this ball offensively, and there are a lot of things to like because the Chiefs do not play defense. If you have Melvin Gordon, he's going to go off this week. This is his week. They average like 154 yards given up against the run.
181.
Game. It's ridiculous. It's the second worst in the NFL.
They give up a touchdown and a half and 20.
If you have Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, I mean, even Phillip Rivers. Like, I think Phillip Rivers is even a fine start in this game.
What about Austin Eckler at your flex?
If you have him, you're probably going to throw him in your flex. There's a lot of game. Melvin Gordon is off injury, or not off injury, but just off of leave.
And he's back.
Yep,
he is back. He is back to his old self. But given that, I don't know if they're going to want to overwork him. I still think Austin Eckler gets a fair share of looks, fair share of opportunities to run the ball. So
passing targets too.
Yep. I think both sides of the ball offensively could be good. Starts in your fantasy lineups. Also, the Chargers spent all week practicing in Colorado at a 7,000 altitude, which is what the game will be played at.
Interesting.
They're prepared.
They're prepared. Chiefs stayed home. So I don't know if that's going to have any impact on the game. I still expect the Chiefs to win by 4.5 pretty easily.
So that'll wrap up all the talk on all our football. Something else I kind of wanted to talk about.
What's the Monday night game?
We just
That is
said
the
the
Monday
Monday
night
night
game.
game. Stupid.
Oh, that's right. The Bears were Sunday night.
So then one other
Yak.
thing, me, Taggart, and Grant, we've all been submitting one pick a day for the
Unfortunately.
NBA.
It's a thing
Unfortunately.
that we're doing.
So we're seeing who can have the best record against the spread in one game per day over the season. So right now, what we're looking at
Did
is
you say that this was NBA?
yes, I
Okay.
believe so.
Don't
NBA.
say it, man.
It's not. It's not the greatest. Let's also put this
So-
out there that Sauce is by far the biggest NBA fan out
I
of the
am.
three of us.
That's why I wanted to talk about this. So right now we've about through a week.
Yeah, it's been
We've
about a
done,
week.
yeah, 8 picks. Me and Grant sit at 4-4. Taggart sits at 2-6. He's very upset about that because he was 3-0 before we started doing this. But so with that, we're probably just gonna update it every week, just to kind of let you guys know what everybody does on the week. I mean, NBA wise, I'm a big Celtics fan, so I could sit here and talk about them for a while, but I won't bore you with that.
Who are your guys' contenders after looking through the first 10 games, 11 games?
I can.
Obviously, it's early in the season, but injuries aside, who are we liking?
I mean, contender wise, obviously in the East, you have the 76ers, you have the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Celtics have obviously surprised some people sitting at 9-1. They haven't obviously played a great schedule, but they're at 9-1. I think the one that's kind of shocked me that they could actually like cause some trouble is the Miami Heat. They've looked really good. Jimmy Butler's came in there.
Tyler Hero's the next coming of LeBron.
And then you got the rookie, the 24-year-old rookie Kendrick Nunn. He's averaging, I believe, like 24 points a game, undrafted, was in the G League last year. He's looked, I mean,
I would say pretty well. Yeah, 24. That's
looked,
pretty good.
I don't think it's 24.
22.
Is it not?
It is 17 and a half.
Whatever.
Oh,
17. Still good for a guy that didn't
whatever.
make
He's
a
playing
roster.
great. He's playing great ball.
I mean, you also got the Raptors. They obviously lost Siakam, or not Siakam. They lost Kawhi, but Siakam has stepped up. He's looked Kawhi-esque. I mean, he's averaging 28 a game. He's looked really good. He's made another leap. I think those are about all the contenders in the East. Do you guys have anybody else in the East?
You said Celtics, Heat, Bucks.
Basically the
76ers?
top 5.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, the East is going to come down to like 4 teams that are already like predestined.
I would also say in the Eastern Conference, the one that has somewhat shocked me, I think Brooklyn being at 4-7 right now.
It's pretty bad given
They
how
haven't
they've
had a
played.
great start to the year, which given Kyrie's, I mean, he's
Kyrie's incredible.
Yeah, he's
unreal.
probably
He's
the best point guard outside of Steph.
averaging 29 a game. I mean, the issue with him though, I mean, I heard a stat today that last year that they had the 8th most passes in the NBA last year, and this year they're 28th. He's a ball stopper. Kind of kills the offensive mojo, but I mean, he's unreal.
Dude puts in buckets.
He does. And then out west, the Lakers, top of the Western Conference at 9-2.
They're back, baby.
They've looked incredible.
It's
They've
LeBron. It's LeBron season again.
Well, LeBron
He's
is
back.
a factor.
He's heard
He
the
is
noise.
factor.
He's heard the people. He's shutting them up, and he's insane. There's a reason he's the best player in the NBA. He heard Kawhi could be taking him. He's the best player in the NBA.
Yeah, he's heard the noise.
And he's showing it.
Yep.
Kawhi can go ahead and take his load management days off, and LeBron's gonna keep doing it 17 years later better than he is. So.
Yeah. Well.
My team that I like out of the West is the Phoenix Suns.
At 7-4.
I told Sauce and Grant beginning of the season that they were someone to look at. I think they will be in the playoffs, and don't know how far they'll go. Obviously, they're a very young team. I think one of the youngest in the league, but they're looking really good.
Yeah. I think
Highest assists per game, second highest points per game.
the one big key addition with them, well, I don't even think it was Rubio. I think it was Aaron Baines. I think that was a great pickup for him. Obviously, he's playing like 35, 34 minutes a game, which he's never seen in his career.
Old
So if he
Celtic
can,
boy.
he was a Celtic last year. That was a big loss for us, but great addition for the Suns. Been holding it down while DeAndre Ayton is serving that suspension. Another out west, another team that has really surprised me, made a big splash yesterday. The Portland Trailblazers sitting at 4-8,
Mellow.
the third worst team in the Western Conference right now. So they
Yeah,
go
this
out
doesn't surprise me.
and they go out and sign Carmelo Anthony. I mean, defensively, he's not going to help you. He obviously could help a little bit offensively.
I don't know how much offensively he's going to help
He's
you.
not going to help offensively.
He's going to get cut sometime during the season.
He's going to take Damian Lillard shots.
I think he's a placeholder for the time being. They're waiting for something else. I look at it as, would you rather have Mario Hezonja or Carmelo Anthony?
I don't know. That's my answer to that question. I'm not too sure.
You don't know who Mario Hezonja is?
Didn't he used to play for the Heat?
No.
Okay, then I don't know who that is.
I think you're thinking of Nikola Vucevic.
Yep, that guy. Yep.
And then I guess the
Not me. Not an NBA guy. Come on.
last
Yeah, I
thing
am.
in the
I'm sorry. The Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas Mavericks, baby.
Can we talk about Luka Doncic for a moment? The dude's nuts. They lost yesterday to the Sun. Or no, they lost yesterday.
They lost Wednesday to the Celtics.
Still posted a triple double. Dude's nuts.
He's
I
been
think he's
balling.
talking about the Knicks.
They did.
Oh,
They
yeah.
lost
I
to
don't
the
know how
Knicks.
they lost to the Knicks. It's because I I bet on them.
You picked them.
It's unfortunate. He still posted a triple
Celtics are
double.
gonna lose tonight.
He's nuts. It's a declared fandom. It's official. His
Luka
jersey's
Doncic,
on the way. It's ready. We're ready to rock and roll.
he's looking like the second place for the MVP right now. Obviously, Giannis is still first. He's putting up crazy numbers as he always does.
Yeah, you're gonna have people come into the conversation. So
I think
But
Chris
I
Stapps
think-
was a good addition.
he'll start to do better as he
He was
starts to
7 of
mesh with
7,
that
Yeah,
offense.
I
20
think-
points, 11 rebounds.
He'll get better with that offense.
They're trying to figure him out in that offense. They're trying to post him up a lot right now, and it's not really his forte. He's more of a catch shoot guy, play on the perimeter, stretch 4, stretch 5. So I guess the last thing that we can kind of talk about the NBA to kind of wrap this up is the Golden State Warriors at 2-10. Just
Tragic.
the worst possible situation
Yep.
ever.
Wouldn't say that the injuries are helping the cause.
I mean, they had a stretch of dating back to the playoff or the finals last year where they went 6 straight games where KD got his tore his Achilles, Clay tore his ACL, then they get blown out the first 3 games of the season, then Steph breaks his hand, Draymond gets hurt, Russell got hurt. Obviously, Russell and Draymond are back now, but sitting at 2-10, there's not much hope for him this year.
No, I think it's a missed playoffs. I don't think they're back.
For the first time since 2014,
Yep.
2013.
I don't think it's
After
it.
5 straight finals appearances.
It's just too much for them to overcome. They lost arguably, or not even arguably, they lost their best player in Kevin Durant.
I'd say
Steph's out for an
arguably-
extended period of time.
Yeah.
It's just
Plays out for the season.
it's
But-
a lost cause. It's not going to get better. It might get a little better when Steph comes back in X amount of months, but
But I mean, really looking at it,
in the
for them,
West,
it's not the worst thing in the world.
no, they're
for
going to get a
Steph
good
to
draft
be
pick out
out.
of this.
They'll get a good draft pick. Steph won't have to waste a year of his prime because even if he was playing, they maybe get the 8th seed. If not, they get a 9 seed. Then they get the 12th pick. That doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst thing in the world. So they just wait and hope the lottery balls bounce in their system when
Hold it
June
out.
comes around next year. So I guess that can go ahead and wrap up the NBA talk. I know I kind of consumed it, but
Big NBA guy.
I do love the NBA. Is there anything college hoops we want to talk about? I haven't watched much this year, so I really don't know anything.
Shout out Kentucky to losing to I don't even know.
It's an unfortunate
But
situation.
let's just go ahead and say
Evansville?
Cats by 90 is no longer a valid
They
saying
lost
for
to
the rest of the
Evansville
year.
at home.
So when I saw it pop up on my phone, I was like, they lost to a high school team, and it turns out that's a college. Yeah, it's not good, but I'm sure they'll be just fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Obviously, you're gonna have your Kansas, your North Carolina, your Duke, gonna lead the way again this year.
Kansas
early.
is winning 70-25 currently. So
I haven't watched enough. I mean,
It's
I'm
okay.
sure once.
Shout out us. We're losing to Rhode Island.
Woo! Yeah, we are.
Trey Jones and Cassius Stanley are very scary weapons on the Duke Blue Devils.
Trey Jones with 31 points tonight.
We'll see. It's a little early in the season.
Yep, it's usually around Christmas time.
Yeah, where
about
you
when
start
I
to
kind of get into college basketball.
get to start to see who's really legit.
And then,
Blues top the
Dipping in.
NHL.
Yep, dipping into the NHL just very, very quickly. We are all St. Louis Blues fans, so obviously cheering them on. Looked really good this year. The other team is the Washington Capitals at 14-2-4, looking like they could be a team to beat this year. So, I mean, I don't really have much more to say on the NHL. I know neither of you really watch it, so
Hey,
Ovechkin's the GOAT.
Ovechkin.
I keep posted.
Oilers are looking good with McDavid. Bruins at
Shocker.
the top as they usually are.
I got nothing else on the NHL.
Yeah.
All I know is that the Blues are in first. That's all we need to know. Back to back, baby. We're coming.
So that's talking NHL.
I got no other sports. I got nothing.
Like to move on to cricket real quick.
Yes, Indonesia had an outstanding game yesterday against
Sri Lanka is just incredible.
Is that facts?
That's
I don't
about all I have to say.
Are there any actual cricket
Yeah, I think
are there
I
cricket
think it's
rankings?
Sri Lanka. I mean, yeah, they're world rankings, which Sri Lanka dominates. It's them or India.
I can't say I've ever watched an entire
Essentially need
game
a
of
wood
cricket.
paddle and a ball,
a
so
ball, and then a
see why they're pretty good at that.
circular field, maybe. I've never seen one played in full.
Yeah, it's circle. Kind of. It's like, yeah,
half circle.
All right.
Yeah.
You
I
wanna
don't
wrap
think
it
I
up,
have
Grant?
anything else. So.
All right. Well, I guess that concludes episode 0 pilot of the to be determined pod. Maybe that could just be the name of our podcast.
To be determined.
I like it.
But that's actually not bad. Now that I'm thinking about it, to be determined. Because you never know what you're gonna get.
Boom. I like the
I
slogan
didn't know
too.
where this was going, so I'm impressed with us.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Overall, I say it was good.
For those listening, we appreciate you tuning in.
We'll try not to talk about one game for that long anymore.
Yeah, next time we won't be talking about Thursday night football for 20
Next
minutes.
time we won't have to talk about some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully.
We'll never see an anomaly where we talk about 20 minutes on one topic again.
Hey, he just tried to put Mason Rudolph's helmet back on his head. That's all I got to say.
Hot takes out here. All right. Thank you guys for
All right,
listening.
boys.
We'll catch y'all
Well
in a week when we do it again. Good luck in your fantasy matchups this weekend. Wish you the best of luck.
And you're betting.
And you're
Be
betting.
safe out there.
If you're betting, win money. If you don't win money, welcome
Try
to
again the next
welcome
day.
to the club.
Bet big, win big.
Yep.
So
Throw a lot of money down on one bet. It's really safe.
yeah, 1,000 black. So, given that, we will talk with you guys in a week. There are multiple ways to listen to this podcast, whether that's going to be on SoundCloud, YouTube, or if you tune in live when we do this on Twitch. You can sit and chat, and you can throw out things, and we will talk about them as well. So we will see y'all in a week. Peace. Good luck.
Peace.
Words I meant to say. Stuck inside myself, broken down in every single way. So can we talk about it?